Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Om Brahmanandam Paramasukhadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatītam Gagana Sadrisham Tattvamasyaदिलक्ष्यम् Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadhi Sakshi Bhutam Bhavatītam Triguna-rahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami. Om. Adorations to Sadguru, who is Brahman, the giver of supreme bliss, embodiment of pure consciousness, one without a second, vast as the ether, infinite, eternal. Beyond the three gunas and their modifications, the supreme precept. Yoga Vasishtha, Upasham Prakarana, section 91. It continues. And the topic is the cause of the world process. All your troubles are because of the world process. So you must know the cause. And you have already been listening to it. You suffer from pain. Without pain, there is no gain. You are in that predicament because of your embodiment. And your embodiment is caused by karma. And karma movement is based upon the fabric of kleshas, afflictions, of which raga-dvesha, attachment and hatred, they are important factors that secure your karma. And behind attachment and hatred, the illusion of your identity. Ego identity is not you, far from you. And the cause of ego identity is lack of discrimination, lack of insight into the difference between spirit and matter, and lack of discrimination is caused by, again, ignorance, avidya. So, this is the cause of every because. Cause of the cause of the cause of the cause. O Rama, sage Vasishtha goes on giving this great teaching to Rama. O Rama, that great soul who does not develop attachment towards the objects even while enjoying them, and whose mind does not fondly recall the experiences of past delights from the objects. Such a person has attained the state of mindlessness. He has become liberated in life. 2 points are being highlighted: detach, attach. And in modern times, it is easy to understand. You're always hearing about social distancing and self-isolation. Can you keep social distancing? You're putting swab on your nose. That's controlling your vasanas. Social distancing is practice of asanga, anasakti. You live with people, but don't get attached to external names and forms. Do not develop moha sakti. Do not be attached. That intensifies your delusional love for your near and dear ones. Delusional love is source of all misery because you cannot secure anyone. We remember the Buddha's story when the lady lost her child, and with the dead body on her, dead child on her shoulder, she comes to Buddha. Says, you are the great savior. You have omnipotence. So revive this child. Be compassionate. Everybody says you are very compassionate. Buddha said, no, it's very easy. All that you need to do is bring few grains of mustard seed, and I will perform the ritual and your baby will be alive. You must know I spice of this too. Said, it's such a simple thing. Okay. But Buddha says, but bring the grains of mustard seeds only from a house where nobody has ever died. So the story goes on. She goes and asks her, but there is no family that doesn't remember deaths of father, mother, parents, whomsoever. Somebody goes on dying. All your parampara has died. So she comes back frustrated. And ultimately she is led to become devotee of Buddha, to follow the path of spiritual practice, sadhana. What I'm leading you to understand, therefore, changes the angle of vision has to come in the advanced stage of human culture. Another scripture has given you illustration. Sulabha, great spiritual personality, lived her household life. And having children, each child, when she puts the child in the cradle, she sang a Vedantic songs. Oh child, you are Shuddham, pure. Shuddhosi, Buddhosi. How cute are your eyes? But who is looking through your eyes? Buddho. Niranjanosi. You are not tainted by all the taint in this world. Come like a soft flower. Sansara maya parivarjitosi. All these maya illusions of this world, you are completely free. Swing. So even though she is attending on the child, nursing the child, and yet in her inner heart enjoying love of the truth. So if your daily activities, loving activities, relationships especially, in that, if you allow your mind to understand the goodness, good feeling that comes through your loving relations. It's not because of our names and forms, because God is within them. And if you really want to love them, then you awaken that Godward movement. Bring the higher values before them so that can love higher values, not go after just market values. Not be a market. Market is a monkey. So when you are doing that, you are social distancing. This is not for the present instruction. It's a mystical understanding. And next point, what happens to your attachment? This longing to be attached to your loved ones. That attachment movement should lead you to self-isolation. Because whom do you love most? The self. Or put it a little more in the next level, God. Your attachment should be shifted, not to be attached to shifting names and forms, but be attached to God. And God is your innermost reality. So what you are doing? You are closing your doors and you are in the lockdown state. Spiritual lockdown. The result of this, detach and attach. Detach from worldly values, attach to the divine values, source of which is your very own self. If you perfect these two movements, you become free of mortality virus. And that's your real virus. Virus, fear of mortality. By sustaining likes and dislikes towards objects of the world, one nourishes the pranas as well as the vasanas. But when one casts aside all likes and dislikes from his consciousness and no longer remembers the objects of the world, he attains liberation. Likes and dislikes, there. Raga and dvesha. Raga develops when you lack vairagya and viveka. Vairagya is dispassion. Viveka is discerning understanding, the difference between self and not self. When you are lacking the profounder insight and being attached to superficial names and forms, that becomes the basis of raga and dvesha, likes and dislikes. Simple way to understand it from a practical point of view. In your daily life, it's very practical. Things that you like, if those things are secured, you become very happy. Things you dislike, if you keep them away, it gives you another state of good feeling. But if you stay confined to that state of your psychology, you remain a kid. Because the world cannot secure your way of like and dislike. You have come to a state of acquiring things that you like so much. You filled your house with museum, every part. And then suddenly coronavirus comes. You are quarantined in your own house. Or a hurricane comes, breaks down your house, nothing remains in it. So therefore, be grown up, advanced, not a kid. You cannot secure things that you like, nor can you keep things away from you, things that you dislike. Likes and dislikes continue in this world. And also you have to understand what you like today, tomorrow you may dislike it. What you dislike today, tomorrow you may like it. Likes and dislikes keep your mind shaking all the time. You never know what you really like. You never know what you really dislike. Situations that you dislike so much, after those situations pass on, you become so happy. Things that you have now discovered about your inner strength, you didn't know that before. So you become thankful to situations that apparently are not likable. In other words, now coming back to serious point, don't fill your mind with impressions of raga, dvesha, likes and dislikes. Those impressions, when those impressions become little active, sprouting state, they are called vasanas. Those vasanas are klishta vasanas. Vasanas that bring about all sufferings. And led by your vasanas, pranas operate according to the nature of your vasanas. Pranas refer to vital forces. As long as you are alive, life will not be possible without the operation of vital forces. And this operation of vital forces has kept the soul moving from one embodiment to another. But that's a broader understanding of prana. More practical understanding, each time a joyous, a positive vasana becomes active in your personality, it touches different centers. If those centers were creating imbalance in your prana, that profounder positive vasana suddenly puts in oxygen in your mind. I'm using allegorical language. And immediately your pranas begin to adjust in a profound way. And even in day-to-day experiences, if you are happy, see how much prana goes to your face. Your eyes thank you. They begin to shine. You carry unhappy situation, your face hangs down. And faces are not hanging down. You make them hang more than yours. Because when you share your grief, it is never brief. So it's play of pranas. And pranas are fluttering with joy within. Even though you don't say anything about that, there is subtle radiation. People are also being impacted by subtle radiations. How you think, how you feel. What people understand, the effect of how you breathe, how you sneeze. The virus is bringing out the importance. That everything is very important. How you breathe, how you sneeze, how you cough. But what people don't know, that even more than this, how you think, how you feel, how you wish, they have tremendous role. And they impact each other. So the whole society, humanity goes on suffering, ages after ages. And when suffering becomes too much, it's called adharma is increasing. When suffering begins to lessen, dharma is increasing. And the divine law is adharma may increase, but it cannot succeed. So increasing dharma is a good news in society and coming back to every individual. Because society does not, when you come to practice, every individual has to practice. When one casts aside all likes and dislikes from his consciousness and no longer remembers the objects of the world, you take it literally, it is a disease if you don't remember. But it is allegorical state. Remembering implying of worrying about it, keeping your mind always stuck to certain memory. So even though you have no other works to do, you sit and relax, but your mind is now gone back 5 years later, before. Sometimes if you are 70, go 50 years back. So much so you go back to the state when you were 5-year-old. And you remember. The mind has nothing to do, it has many tricks to play. So that type of memory is totally different. This type of memory should not be there. But mind should flutter with memory of your success, spiritual success. What led you to succeed? And more profoundly, recall of who am I? That's the real remembrance, smaran, the same term, memory, remembering the word, Vishaya Smriti, remembering worldly objects, versus remembering God and Godward movement, leading self-realization. That's called Sumiran, Smaran. That Smaran should become a profound hobby in your heart. Because now you are remembering not happenings, but remembering means you are bringing to your mind revelation of your inner truth. And again, that whole movement is not sudden movement. When you are studying scriptures, you remember certain verses, certain statements. When you remember those statements, then you remember how you will listen to the meaning of those statements in satsanga. As you remember, now you justify your remembrance. The teachings you heard that you should be good-hearted, it's a joyous thing to possess a pure heart. Now in your remembrance, you begin to remember, oh, I helped someone, and that someone was so thankful to me. You are remembering. All these are sumiran, and they are of a positive nature. But all that opposes this type of sumiran, you are simply remembering nasty words some person told you. Or even good words have been told, but somehow your ear was plugged. You heard distorted. So if we are remembering only those negative things, that is a negative movement. So all these remembrances based on raga and dvesha, based on egoism, all those remembrances have to move away, completely out. And your mind, embellished by divine remembrance, led to complete revelation of the truth, which is a result of remembrance of God. It is consciousness itself which has assumed the forms of objects through the magical potency of vasana and prana. So what is to be revealed to you? The goal of remembrance, Brahman, the truth of your soul. But that Brahman is pure consciousness, Prajnanam Brahma. It is consciousness itself, that pure consciousness, Brahman, has assumed the form of objects through the magical potency of vasana and prana. Simple illustration is your dream. How, while you are resting, everybody thinks you are resting so well. But led by your vasana and prana, you are experiencing dream. It can be positive, it can be negative. But whatever you are experiencing in your dream, while dreaming, it seems completely real. You have absolutely no doubt about it. And that's the magical power of vasana and prana being illustrated to you through your own dream. Understand, the same applies as long as you have not attained enlightenment. All your experiences in the world are long dream. Things you lived through. Time passes. And all that you experienced becomes a dream that have passed on. And from a broader point of view, all your experiences are conditioned by your limited mind. Your mind operates through your nervous system. Behind the operation of mind through the nervous system, sanchit karmas, accumulated storehouse of karmas that are in a very seed state, they are playing the role of bringing out experiences of the world. In other words, at any moment, whatever you are experiencing, it's the magic of your brain. And the brain itself is like a technology, like a little iPad. Energy, prana and vasana behind it is operating your brain. All you are experiencing are so real. The real for whom? Not your true identity. All is real in your dream. For whom? For dream subject. Not the person, not the reality behind the dream subject who is lying on the bed. So, no matter how horrible the dream, within a moment you wake up, all the horror becomes unreal. Same is the predicament of all human beings. Just as experiences in dream, even the perception of one's own birth and death are nothing but illusory projections. In the same manner, all objects are unreal. O Rama, true knowledge consists of the realization of the fact that all the three worlds are nothing but the self. The self alone exists as a non-dual reality, transcending time and space. So when you have understood the dream is illusory. Experiences in your dream were in three stages: physical, sentimental, and deeper in your understanding. Your understanding, how do you understand your mind? These three stages are called Bhur, Bhuva, Swa. All the three types of words that you experience in your dream don't exist. Now, use that illustration in your practical day-to-day life, even this world. All the three, your physical reality, how long will you be in your body? So don't go become too body to the body. So that's Bhu. All your sentiments. It's another plane of your experience. All what you understand. That's another plane. But all the three planes are illusory. But in sadhana, all the three planes become a basis for your spiritual progress by practice of integral yoga. When consciousness allows itself to be sustained by the illusory objects of the world, considering them as real, It is called samvit, relative consciousness. A sage, on the other hand, attains the state known as asamvit, devoid of a relative consciousness. But at the same time, he is called ajada. Jada means inert. Ajada means pure consciousness. All these are terminologies, and they become spicy material for your practice of nididhyasana, vichar. If you don't understand, if you are inquiring about Brahman, and if you are given only one word, Brahman, your inquiry doesn't get the nourishment. So, say Brahman, understand is Sat, pure existence. Chit, pure awareness. Anand, bliss. And I've just given you samples, but then there are countless. That's why Sahasranam has been created. 1,000 names. But the basic point has to be understood. Pure consciousness alone exists. Pure consciousness is like a lake. And if you look into the lake, you are seeing the sky reflected, the forests. There's a vast world within it. Not only a world within it, there are events happening within the as you watch. A bird is flying from one tree to another, and you see the drama in the reflection. If you are trapped by this whole scene of reflection, what you are not aware is a lake. Lake has been before you, calm, giving you totally a different message. All that you are reflected things that is keeping your mind so agitated. You could be just enjoying the calmness. Your mind turns to who am I? And the awareness, aham brahmasmi. And who is Brahman? Prajnanam Brahma. Brahman is pure awareness. But try to figure out the difference between awareness that is mixed up with illusion. That awareness is same as you watch the cinema show. All the time you are watching pathetic drama, comedy type, you are laughing and sometimes you are crying. You are actually looking at a screen that has not gone into any change. So, if you are wiser, you don't allow your mind to be completely gripped by what you are watching as projections. In the same way, in every moment of your life, pure consciousness is the absolute reality. Pure awareness is the infinite lake of consciousness. But you are caught by reflections. That's what called products of Maya. How to move away from reflections? Movement in the beginning seems very difficult, but reflections are unreal. When you begin actually to progress, your negative structure of mind begins to change into positive. Positive angle gives you a totally different picture of the world. So first thing to understand, that all experiences in the world are relative consciousness, which means pure consciousness is ever the same. Reflections that have occurred within your consciousness by the projections of the mind, those reflections have created illusion of consciousness. That's, again, I'm talking about the two words we see, bhava pratyaya, pratyaya bhava. Presence of perceptions, relative experiences. As long as the show goes on, there is a presence of relative reality. That's called bhava pratyaya. Show is over, or if you have understood this show to be complete illusion, then all these projected realities become unreal. Pratyaya bhava. In the state of the absolute self, the world is non-existent. When you are awake, your dream world is non-existent. There are neither gods nor demons, nor yakshas, nor kinnaras, nor human beings, nor animals, nor any other creature. It is Maya which has created all these illusions. O Rama, there are two forms of existence. The existence of multiplicity and the existence which is one and non-dual. Using the same simile of lake and reflections. There are two forms of existence. Lake is one form, only lake is there. Next, lake is not there, only reflections are there. Reflections are multiplicity. Lake is non-dual. The perception of multiplicity is illusory, being sustained by the pranas and vasanas. That's the ingredients of projection of the mind. Your vasanas play their role, your pranas play the role in creating the vrittis and their movements. While the world underlying the world of multiplicity, underlying these projections of your mind, that world is Brahman, the Absolute. Also known as Satta Samanya, the common basis for all forms of existence. Satta is another variation of synonym of Sat term, absolute reality. That absolute reality is the behind every changing realities of the world. All things of this world, they are real to you through your conditioned mind. But they are constantly changing. But behind all those changes, the reality remains unchanging, immutable. For easy understanding, you experience so many things in your dream, big things, small things, big mountains, even flights, as well as you experience worms, caterpillars. But the reality behind all. Behind the mountain, who is reality? You, lying on the bed. Reality behind a little cockroach of your dream, you. You are Satta Samanya for your dream. Brahman is Satta Samanya for the entire universe. And that Brahman is your essential nature. It is pure existence, Sat, which has assumed various forms, such as existence of time, existence of object, existence of that which is subtle, existence of that which is gross, anything that you think, there is existence of. Use a little mathematical way of looking at it. Variables in all things have a variable aspect and invariable aspect. What is invariable is pure existence. When you are talking about existence of a worm, existence of a butterfly, existence of a human being, existence of a monkey, but behind all the things I said, what is the underlying existence? Existence. That is called existence in itself. That is Sat. Ghat ghat mein hai Sai Ramata. That's devotional way of saying God abides in all. Vedantic way of saying Sat underlies all names and forms. By negating the existence of multiplicity, a sage realizes the self, which is pure existence. Having attained this, O Rama, become free of the fear of death. This is a more cure for mortality virus. For you did two things: social distancing and self-isolation. Detach and attach. And as I already explained to you, this is the result of integral yoga. You are practicing one-sided yoga, you will not succeed. And this we will continue next time. Om Ram 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 Om Om Namah Shivaya Om Namah Shivaya Om Namah Shivaya Om. Prayer for the shower of Karunamaya ras of divine grace over all. May God enable souls to discover their strength to overpower this present state of terrorizing virus and turn their attention towards a bigger virus, death virus, a mortality virus. And that's your goal. And may you all succeed following the path that gives you strength to face challenges, devotion, bhakti, strength called Shakti. Devotion is bhakti. When you have love of God, you don't suffer. You let God do that business. That is an ideal. It brings the understanding. You do your best in handling your problems. Don't ever be slacking in your skill. If you are doing that, you become a best worshipper of God. And the result is you are doing all that intensive activity, but not burdened with worry. Worry is for God. So result, saras. You live through all challenges. Imagine, even without virus. Virus is simply highlighting the challenges. Everyone, even though nothing happens, you are always prosperous. But not a single family is happy. So many things are happening day by day. I'm not going to go into details. So ultimately, how to face challenges in a spontaneous way. It's like a tree faces so many challenges without complaining. In a joyous way or in a relaxed way, called saras. And where you are being led to, the revelation of who you are, essential. Tattvamasi, thou art that. And there ends this dread of death virus. Mrityorma amritam gamaya. From death, mortality to immortality. Asatoma sadgamaya. From unreal to real. And tabasoma jyotirgamaya. From darkness to light. And with this, Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushti Vardhanam Urvarukma Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyama Mritat Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kashchiduk Bhag Bhavet Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityor Ma Mritam Gamaya Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Om Hari Om